Alright, we are back. We have driven around the mean streets of Daytona, and now Fantasyland has fallen into crisis while we were there messing around with other likewise drivers. So we gotta save the world now with Space Harrier 2. I am once again Volk, joined this time by Flaming Claw. So this should be an interesting run.
Yeah, Fantasyland falls into crisis. Is there more story to this game, or is that literally it?
That's basically it, although you do get a little bit more once you complete the game, but there is urgency. It's not just this falling into crisis, it falls into crisis now. So we better actually get in there and save Fantasyland so that this crisis can be averted.
Yeah, because otherwise it will fall into crisis, and you don't really want that. But yeah, I actually haven't played this game. I seem to recall watching you stream it a little while ago.
Yeah, this was like one of the first Mega Drive games I tried streaming. But this was like a couple of years ago, so I think enough people have forgotten about it now that this will be somewhat fresh.
It's fine, we've got like a rotor, we can reuse things after so long.
Exactly.
Not that I can tell.
It's like the 3-second rule, but a lot longer.
Yeah, not that I can tell, given we're running Sonic Adventure 2 on the channel, which is a repeat, but you know.
Well, that's more of a remaster.
Well, it is, given we're doing the HD version, but like the quality of said HD remaster is quite negligible. But hey, yeah, this is one of them games I'm seeing that if you look at it for a little while, it starts to feel a little bit trippy. So, good luck playing that. I will say my ability to look at things that are visually intense is growing a lot better these days, because a little while ago, have you ever seen the game Slipstream, Fog?
I vaguely remember it, yeah.
Yeah, it's an indie game that was released, I think, about a year ago or so, where it's like a HD reinvention of the old, like, this kind of scaling thing, but like as a car racer game, if you think similar to Outrun and that. And I was playing that a little while ago, and that is such a fucking cool game.
Oh yeah. I mean, when visual stuff is done right, it looks so awesome. I think this is one of those games, like, given the hardware limitations, it did it very, very well. It
seems like they've got the right idea with the object scaling to Ultra and that, and is it like one continuous game thing? I saw the colour transition between levels there.
Yeah, it'll, as you go between levels, you get, like, different colours, and, like, some of the set pieces will change. From the indestructible terrain to the things you just find on the floor. And like every other level, they add like a new enemy. So of course, on the first level, we've just been fighting these here spaceships, but now we've got mutant cabbages to deal with.
Mm-hmm.
Or cauliflowers. It can vary depending on who you ask.
whatever you want to take it as, yeah. As long as you don't run into them massive totem pole things, because that looks like it'll...
Oh yeah, like those sections in particular are pretty tricky when you got to deal with an enemy and make sure you don't hit one of those at the same time.
Yeah. Just as a reminder, folks, for anyone who's just tuning, we are raising money for the charity Child's Play, who help provide toys and games to children who are in hospital. You can donate just below the stream. There's a big fiery donate button, which it fits the Hellfire aesthetic, I guess, and all the money goes directly to it. And if you leave a comment in the field and leave your name there, then we can give you a shout out on stream as well.
Alright, we have now entered Yeetland.
Yeet.
Yeetland. Actually, it's Yeastland, but I had to make the joke.
Oh, of course.
So now we've actually got a roof.
Oh my god, this is amazing. Are they meant to be like palm trees?
They're like starfish trees.
Huh. That's a new one to me.
Yeah, the game is a bit fantastical. You have to, well, I wouldn't say suspend your imagination a bit, but you just have to kind of roll with whatever they put in front of you.
Yeah, it's like open to interpretation to a certain degree with everything in these games, doesn't it, really?
Well, I mean, when you're fighting like frogs and mutant cabbages, you kind of have to just take it with a grain of salt. And one weird thing about this particular game is that there's only so many bullets that can appear on the screen. But if you're firing it literally point blank, you can literally spam the fire button and get a shit ton of damage in pretty much immediately. See if I can do it here.
Okay. So usually when you get like limits on how many bullets can appear, that's a challenge you have to work around. Like something that I've got used to with Mega Man, I think it's 3 that he can have on screen at once in the NES games at least. And so you want to strategize with that a little bit. But
Yeah, I think
if
for
it's
this is a
generative-
hardware limitation, or just making sure there wasn't going to be too much going on at the screen at once.
Well, yeah, because this looks like a really intense game for the Mega Drive, so they kind of want to make sure it's not gonna like cook your system.
Yeah, I mean, it's running at 30, but it stays 30 constantly, which is fantastic. Like, they have a frame rate and they stick with it. I mean, maybe if they did a lot less with it, they probably could have got as far as 60, but I think a lot of what was going on would have been lost as a result if they did that.
I don't think you would get this running at 60 on the Mega Drive. Like, maybe if
If it appeared on the 32X, maybe.
Yeah,
then.
maybe. Yeah, because like if you think of the games that were running at 60 on the Mega Drive, it's mainly like the 2D platformers and stuff like that.
Yeah,
and
the things that don't
future-
really require a lot of graphical fidelity.
Yeah, because this is scaling on the fly. I suppose it's like the Mega Drive equivalent of Nintendo's Mode 7 system that they had on the Super Nintendo, and where it sort of scales the world towards you. I don't know how to explain the proper technical side of stuff, but
Oh, no, I get it.
It looks like a similar kind of effect, and I did just see the lightning going off in the background, which the fact that they've got that going on as well, and the fact that it's tinted the whole colour palette, that is really cool.
Now we get the bonus stages, where you are invincible, and the only objective is to kill as much on the screen as humanly possible, and that includes the floor clams and the flying armors.
Fuck it, kill everything.
Yeah, pretty much just kill everything that is destructible. And this is one of the few ways in the game that you can get a whole bunch of extra lives. Usually, your extra lives will go up depending on your score. And as you notice, the score is actually going up at a rate of about 100 points per second. But the
Yeah,
majority
you're-
of your points actually come from bosses, so you won't notice any like huge jumps until you've actually defeated a boss.
I was gonna say though, like, I see the numbers like speeding up right now. You're like fucking speeding through it, mate.
Oh yeah. Usually you end up with an 8-digit score normally, depending on how much extra enemies you manage to defeat. Although some people are usually better off safely avoiding them.
Snake brings up Space Harrier on the Master System. What does that look like?
Oh, it is. It's pretty rough, my dude. I'm not gonna lie.
I am curious. Let me just look this up. Master System play.
Like, I believe they have Space Harrier on like the 32X or something, and that runs really well. But on the Master System, oh my god, you can just tell that they probably would have been better off not doing it.
I see what you mean. My favourite thing about this, I just clicked in the middle of a long play, is that the explosion effects, because there's no transparency layers, they've all got a fucking blue border around them. And it really doesn't mesh at all.
Yeah, it's like I said, why did they even try? It's like they knew that the hardware wouldn't be able to hold up.
Well,
Like-
if you think...
I mean, they
Like,
did
I'm
it with
thinking about
R-Type and it worked, but something like Space Harrier, which is meant to be 3D, why?
Let me just link this in chat for people who want to say. But like, I guess it is one of the things of like, if you consider like maybe if your only system at the time was the Master System, and I guess for the time if you were in that situation, then this would have probably still looked impressive. It's just when there's also a Mega Drive game, you know, you're obviously gonna want to play the Mega Drive version if you have it.
Alright, now we gotta
3D
deal with
version
the
as well. What's this giant fucking lion thing? Or tiger thing even?
Yeah, it's a manticore cat thing. And you have to shoot off his wings and it will fly across and then it will zip across the screen rapidly and try and kill you. Alright, now we got the turd demons, as I used to call them.
Oh god.
Because I was a
Snake,
child.
Snake, when you say 3D version, do you mean like one of the 3DS classic things, or do you mean like the 3D glasses things that a couple of games tried around this sort of time?
Oh yeah, I remember a couple of games did actually try that.
That sounds like a headache waiting to happen.
Oh hell yeah.
Like seriously.
Yeah, I would not want to do that. I mean, my eyes were fucked up as it was. I can only imagine how bad they would have been if I'd subjected myself to something like that when I was younger.
Yeah. Kyrex is calling out saying, Volk, what do you mean when you was a child?
Well, there is some truth to that statement, so, you know, I can't really flat out deny it.
I mean, in the last game you played, you did input your name as sex.
It was at the request of both the viewers and also for Tanner to try. Besides, you heard me
It was
before.
Tannis-
Daytona
it
would
was-
not let me have sex. It had to give me gauze instead for some reason.
The way you worded that, like Tanner's requests for sex.
There we go. I have a way with wording things inappropriately. I love it. Alright, so this is the aptly named wizard. So you gotta try and guess the right one. It's all like one of those weird cup games. And I've already started rotating myself in the wrong direction, but I am slightly faster, so I should be able to find him. The idea is to try and rotate in the opposite direction that wizard is. And from there, you just gotta avoid the fireballs. This is a standard tactic for Space Harrier. If you keep going around in circles, like, usually speaking, nothing will hit you. So, like, if you only got, like, one projectile to worry about, the game's pretty easy. But it's when they start throwing the, obstacles and what have you in your way that things get difficult. Which is pretty much how most shmups work. Like, the bosses themselves are usually way easier than the path taken to get to the boss.
Yeah, that is really the case. I was thinking back to when I was recording Zero Wing for the channel, and like there was that one boss. Do you remember the one in the middle, like the mini boss along the way of the level, where it's like the two blue things that fire out, and it's almost like full-on bullet hell tier. But then the boss at the end of the level is just pretty like basic.
Yeah, that's exactly what I'm talking about.
Yeah. You got like fucking thwomps in the level now.
Oh yeah, we got introduced to the thwomps earlier, although these ones are the stationary ones that just sort of fly at you.
So they're not doing the stampy down thing just yet.
Nah, I don't think they won't. They'll just do the similar things to the mutant cabbages. However, we are introduced to the 8 balls of death, so those guys are invulnerable until they open up, and that's basically your cue to shoot them.
Tanner's asking about how far are you through this, I suppose, because he wants to set up for Monkey Ball.
This game won't take me very long at all if I get through it in one go, so we're probably about a third of the way through at this moment.
Alright, so you want to sort of sit on standby then?
There's probably no harm with being on standby, to be honest with you. Oh, I flew into the
design
demon.
of them. I like the designs of them gargoyle things. Like, they look really cool.
Like, they do have some really, really cool enemies in this game, like the robots and the well, some are questionable, like the mutant cabbages, but for the most part, they're pretty cool. Alright, so now we got to take care of Medusa.
Oh shit.
Oh, I'll get you a good look at the face. Ah!
Come on, folks. Anyone want to get some more donations in while folks flying around and trying not to get killed?
Easier said than done. But that's okay. I'm making a
save. Not to get killed.
But I'm making a save state after each bonus level just to make sure that I'm in a good state, just in case something does go wrong.
Yeah, I don't know to have the backup save, does it?
There we go. So all of these bosses do actually have names. So one thing I might actually get you to try and do is see if you can guess what the names of some of the bosses are when they come up.
Oh, do you remember them? I thought you were going to ask me to look them up.
No. I want you to guess.
I have no way of guessing, so you might have to, like, clue us in when we get to...
That's right. Well, when we get to the boss rush section, it'll actually display the names. So,
Tanner, stop it.
What's he doing now?
Snake Girl and then a handful of emotes. Sorry, Snake Girls are trash. Just saying. Oh yeah, it's definitely speeding up. Big Battle just pointed out. No, not Tanner, yes. Tanner, no.
Alright, so this is actually an important thing to note here, is that there are some bosses that will retreat rather than you needing to kill them. And this is a good example because this boss literally exists for about 10 seconds and then fucks off.
Oh, so it's the pussy boss, got it.
Well, not quite, it's more like one of those quick-fire rounds, I think.
But it ran away like a pussy.
Oh god, look at the colour of this thing. It's like someone just turned up the saturation on red to like maximum.
Like that fucking bright Like, pinky purple, goddammit.
We're like in the vaporwave level. Like you can probably consider most of his game just to be vaporwave in terms of like its backgrounds and its color choices.
Yeah, come on. You want to boot up the floral shop and get it going.
So this special stage is slightly trickier just because there's more of the flying armors, which are a little bit harder to hit than the clams. So there's not as much just to skirt along the floor. You actually have to put some effort in if you want those extra lives.
If you like fuck up in the bonus stage, do you lose a life for that, or does it just go?
You don't lose lives at all in the special stage, even if you crash into something.
Oh, fair one. So it's just like a bonus thing, which is fair enough.
Alright, we're at Fellcold now, which is, we're pretty much at the last third of, like, the main portion of the game before the boss rush. So we've got 4 more levels to go after this, then we get our boss rush. Unfortunately, we won't get another bonus stage. That was the last bonus stage that we will be getting.
Right.
They don't give you one before the boss rush, I suppose, just to add to the challenge.
Well, yeah, it kind of defeats the point of having the big boss rush if you're going to be able to just plow through hundreds of lives that you've saved up, really, isn't it?
To be honest, though, the special stages don't really give you more than a couple of extra lives tops, to be honest with you. Sometimes you might even be able to get free, but you have to basically hit everything if you want that.
Yeah, fair one.
So it's not like a reliquary of extra lives, but they give you quite a few. It's definitely like the most plentiful source.
Hmm.
And I just crashed into the starfish tree. You can get a good look at it. Bask in its impossibility.
Oh, son. Okay, George, calm it down.
Alright, so now we got the jellyfish boss, which works slightly differently. The boss itself is invincible until you destroy all of its little jellyfish blob things, so we're gonna just go across the bottom here and just try and take out as many of these as possible. Usually if you match its movements, you can take him out without actually getting hit there, but I messed up my pattern a little bit, so I ended up dying once. And now we come to Hope City. And it already starts off fast, so you know it means business.
Oh, I just saw it speed up. Yeah, Christ.
Yeah, sometimes it's better to not go after the enemies explicitly. Sometimes it's better just to try and dodge them. It depends what the enemy is, usually. Some enemies you just want off the screen as soon as possible, but there are some that you can sort of like let go for however long you want, or maybe take them out later on in their attack pattern.
Yeah, just like, not put yourself in harm's way when you're speeding through at this fucking
yeah, especially when there's actually things to dodge, like the impassable terrain, like the indestructible terrain and whatnot. Sometimes it's better just to focus on that.
10 Elements is saying, I swear that's the game Death Noise from All Beast, is it?
Which one's that?
I take it means the sound when you die.
No, I believe the sound is unique to Space Harrier 2, although they may use it elsewhere, but not to my knowledge. Altered Beast, I'm pretty sure, uses something different.
I suppose there are only so many kinds of noise you can make for a guy dies in video game, aren't there, really? Especially when you're unlimited hardware.
True, but Space Harrier is like one of the more iconic ones.
No, right.
Alright, oh yeah, this guy literally dies in a single hit. But you just gotta dodge up, dodge down, and then when he opens up, kill him. Like so.
Let's see this.
So, do you want to take a guess as to what that guy's name is?
Go on, let me know.
It's called Bin's Bean. Which sounds like something out of Dr. Robotnik's Mean Bean Machine.
It does a little bit, yeah. I just saw this level's called Hell's Peak. That is metal as fuck, mate.
Oh yeah. And this is definitely one of the more difficult levels in the game.
Oh, well, I suppose it's Hell's Peak here, but...
Oh yeah, it's definitely not the most difficult though. That would go to the stage coming up next. But one of the nice things about this game is that you can actually select which level you do first. So most people just like to do like the first level and then go all the way through to stage 12. But some people like to start with the more difficult stage first and get it out the way.
Yeah, fuck it. Hell's Peak, aka the best of hell. Oh, cool. Don't say hell, this is a Christian stream. I think we've kind of...
Oh, we're well past...
Failed. Yeah.
We are well past that point. Alright,
so wholesome stream.
You care to take a guess at what this boss's name might be?
Let's wait for him. Come on, Twitch. Let me see the guy. He looks like Sigma.
Does a little bit.
What's this fella called then?
He's called Loveface.
What?
That is literally his name. He is called Loveface.
Well, I mean, it's a face his mother could love, I guess.
Yeah, I guess so. And now we're at Hot Palace. The final main stage of this here video game.
Nah, I don't appreciate this slander by innuendo. I am 100% pure and wholesome. Now this is the Vaporwave level. You see that fucking turquoise in the background, Jesus.
Kind of, although it looks clean at the very least.
Yeah, but then so does a fair bit of Vaporwave aesthetic. It's mainly the music side of things that's where it sort of gets a bit mushy.
Yeah, I suppose so.
Yeah, there's a point in Hot Palace when it's got cold colours.
Yeah, that is a very good point.
Unless we're sort of like going round and it's like blue flame but extra vaporwavy.
Possibly.
I don't fucking know how this works.
But yeah, this is one of the most difficult obstacle course portions of the game. Because you either get very small gaps to the left and right, or you have to go like right through the center, which is way easier said than done.
Or you go smack into a pillar as you're demonstrating.
Oh yeah, but like I said, that is like the most difficult obstacle part of the game, because you don't get much room on the edges, so at some points you have to try and go through the middle, and sometimes you're just in the wrong place at the wrong time.
Yeah.
And you may notice this is basically a clone of the dragon we fought in stage 3. And this is where I'll make another stage. And just in case you thought I was lying about some of these boss names, you'll actually see them now on the screen.
Oh, okay, let's see this. I enjoy how, because of the Twitch lag, I hear the rapidly clacking controller before the guy shows up.
Oh yeah, that's when he's like at point blank range and I could just spam the fire button.
Yeah.
Thankfully I don't have my my dynamic mic anymore, so it won't pick up absolutely everything. Which is very nice. Makes me wonder why I didn't go for this before, to be honest with you. But then again, I was a wee babby when it comes to this sort of thing, so I didn't know the difference between a dynamic and a cardioid condenser microphone at the time.
Yeah, well, what I'm doing right now is, for the streams, I tend to just use this shitty headset. It's a live chat one. It's the same one Tom's been using for fucking ever as well, so I'm not below anyone else. But for the actual LPs and stuff, because I have the opportunity to treat in post, that's when I use me more sensitive Audio Technica.
Ah, I see.
Which I do end up having to do a hell of a lot of treatment, because you guys, when you watch the video, you hear a proper clean sound that's been, like, add all kinds of stuff to move. What Tom and Rich usually hear in the call is lots of background noise, lots of clacking. If I ever raise my voice a bit, you get a really annoying whistle sound. All that sort of stuff that I have to boot into like Audition and trim out. It's a bit of an audio shit show before it's cleaned up.
Alright, Manticora. This is the weird flying cat that we saw earlier. Yeah, this is one of those games that's like deceptively simple, just because as long as you're constantly moving, like during these boss phases, you're not really in harm's way a lot of the time, or you're not really in any imminent danger. It's when you actually stop or you quickly change directions when you actually start taking hits and losing lives.
It looks like one of them games that you might fuck up if you think too hard about it.
Exactly, I would say that is a very apt description.
Because it's the sort of things where, like, I get it with a lot of games that I start thinking about how, like, where the guy's coming from and that, whereas what I really should be doing is just defending myself. Oh, he's your double team buddy on screen right now. Yeah,
these are the, this is the triple tag of disaster here. Although I'm pretty sure there's like a really quick way to kill this boss, but I hadn't looked it up. I'm pretty sure, like, whichever one is the one that you can hit is always set, so if you put yourself in a position where you can immediately hit the first, second, and third one, you can probably kill this boss in seconds.
Yeah, I suppose that does kind of take away the main gimmick of finding him, though, doesn't it?
Exactly. I like to keep the anticipation and the excitement in there.
Yeah.
Alright, now we got Medusa again. It was actually named Medusa, which is somewhat apt.
And it's an ugly fucker as well, so it's also appropriate.
She has one of the more erratic patterns with her firing as well, so your usual tried and true strategy of kind of going around in circles can be somewhat put in danger if you're not careful. Like you see there, I keep trying to take tight turns for no reason, and that's usually pretty dangerous.
Yeah.
Although you have to be in quite close to actually hit her. Which is a bit of a problem.
She looks like she keeps flying way off into the background to safety sometimes, so I guess timing's part of the game.
Yeah. I mean, we lost a life, but then pretty much gained it straight back after killing the boss.
Well, it works.
Indeed. I think we're at a point now where I think we're in good standing. As long as I don't lose too many lives during these next few bosses, we'll have plenty enough in the tank for final boss.
You know that's something you should never say. I'm in good standing, it should be alright.
Hey, I practice my games a lot, so I know when I'm in these situations.
Yeah,
and Space Harrier is one that I have a lot of experience with, so I'm not too deterred by saying things like that prematurely.
Okay, let's see how this goes then.
Probably a lot better since now I can actually get the pattern down. And clackety 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 and dead. That's how it's supposed to be done. Alright, now it's Bin's Bean. Yep, see, I wasn't lying.
Oh yeah, I see it. Bin's Bean, what a fucking name.
Well, I think we get Love Face after this. Yep, there it is. I told the truth. It is actually Love Face. What reason? I couldn't fucking tell you, but it's there. But yeah, the idea is when he splits his face into 4 pieces, that's when he can basically kill you at the front of his screen. But you got also dodge the projectiles. Sometimes I can actually one-cycle this guy, but it's very, very risky, because if you end up missing a couple of shots, you just die and lose a life for no reason. Alright, now we get to Kafuga, or Kafuga.
I don't think that's how it's meant to be pronounced somehow.
Well, you tell me when it appears on your screen.
There you go, maybe.
Kafuga. It sounds like an exotic alcoholic drink. I'll have a Kafuga and Coke, please.
I was thinking more along that something else, but okay.
And there we go. Now we're on the last boss with 4 lives in the tank.
Okay, you better do this then.
Alright, Dark Harrier time. Which is essentially just you in black, ginger hair, and purple skin.
Okay.
Usually it's better just to try and dodge this guy as much as humanly possible rather than trying to follow his actions, because that will probably lead to you losing a life.
He looks a lot more aggressive than the other guys. They've had similar sort of tactics of firing forward.
Oh yeah, I mean he's employing the same strategy as us, which is the going around in circles maneuver. So you know he means business.
That's not fair, that's my cheat strat. That background colour is so fucking cool, I'm not gonna lie.
I do love the strobing effect between the purple and the red, it is pretty sweet.
And that's got to be quite intensive on the system as well, just slightly rapidly switching through the palette.
Alright, he's nearly dead.
Nice.
And there we go! He is donezo.
Nice one.
And still 5 lives left over.
That was a good one, mate.
Hell yeah, I'm very pleased with that.
During chat, is that saying as a ginger I find this offensive?
Hey, I'm just saying that he's just essentially you, but with different coloured hair and a slightly different jacket. So there we go, the war is over. However, Harrier feels an unbearable emptiness, rather than the usual satisfaction that results from... Come on. The successful accomplishment of a mission. He thinks to himself, I'm not the only one who has the superhuman ability. Space will be doomed if an... If an evil-minded maniac avails himself with its power for his own selfish purposes, the power should always be utilized for righteous deeds only. In order to maintain peace throughout the universe, Space Harrier departs once again to do battle with the enemy. So this is how they retcon the whole, oh, you can do it all again if you want to, and fight another Dark Harrier. And there's some actual more sort of background about the actual world that you're in as well that comes up in a second.
Alright.
Not sure if it's after the credits or before, but we'll see.
Yeah.
Oh yeah, here we go. In the space year 6221, Harrier went off to war for the very first time. This is of course referring to Space Harrier 1. Or the arcade version of Space Harrier, should I say. Later, in 6226, at the Battle of Dragonland, our hero distinguished himself with his valor. So, I guess he was fighting for like 5 years. And finally, in Fantasyland, in the year 6236, Harrier met the Dark Harrier in Mortal Kombat and emerged a victor. And there we go. Now you get the credits for the usual, rather bizarrely named SEGA staff and executives, like Bo and, I suppose there's like another couple that have also featured in Sonic games in the past.
No, right?
But yeah, there we go. That is Space Harrier 2. A deceptively tricky game, although, as I said, if you employ the circle strategy, more often than not, especially against the bosses, you're usually in a very good position.
Let me have another little check for the donations.
Oh yes, please do. We can
Which I've been doing periodically, but we haven't had any in recently, so
that's fine. I'm sure there'll be some people who are plenty hyped for Super Monkey Ball, so hopefully we'll have a few in by then. Also, these games are kind of shorter games, so you don't really get much time to squeeze in donations in there, though. I'm very hopeful we get quite a few people going in for those Phantasy Star 4 ones, but that's just me personally projecting my desires onto you folks at home.
Oh yeah, do you want to explain how that works, the Phantasy Star 4 ones?
Oh yeah, sure. So essentially, at nearest the end of the game, before the final dungeon, there'll be 5 extra characters that will meet throughout our journey, and we'll be tasked with selecting one of those 5 characters to add to our team for the final encounter. We can only take one of those 5 since the other 4 party members are set in stone. So basically, if you have a favorite that you know of straight away, or if you find out like throughout the game you think, ooh, I like this character, I want them in the final boss. But also, depending on who gets picked depends on how easy the final encounter is as well. It's widely considered that some characters have a much easier time with the final boss than others, but it's all doable, so I would say just go for whatever you like the look of, really. But I'm going to sign off here, I think, and we'll get started with some Super Monkey Ball, I think.
Just before you do, because I feel like with how our donors sometimes like to think, who do you personally have most trouble with?
To be honest, I don't really have much trouble with any of them, to be honest with you. I say probably the one that perhaps gives you the roughest time is maybe Grizz, but that's only because he's basically a combat-focused character, as opposed to the others that have like some magic that you can combo and what have you. But I would say, if you want something hard, go with Grizz, but I would say if you want to go with something interesting, any of the other 4 characters are usually pretty good. They usually have some pretty nifty combo attacks that you can do, which make for a really entertaining final boss fight.
Ah, fair one. Yeah, so I guess it's time for us to wrap up and hand over to Tanner, who's going to be playing Super Monkey Ball Deluxe. And then later on tonight, Snake's going to be back with 3D Afterburner 2 and Fighters Mega Mix. So we've still got a fair bit to go today, folks.
Indeed, indeed. Still plenty of SEGAthon left to go, and of course we do it all over again tomorrow, and we will do for the next 11 days. So still plenty to go. Stay tuned, we'll be back with Super Monkey Ball.